An hour of clarity for exhausted people of our nation mired in toxic partisanship. Left versus right. Us versus them. While we pay to keep our politicians fighting, how do we, the people, rise up and solve the great challenges of our time? We do it by embracing freedom and liberty. There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
All right, welcome to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today, with Andrew Hollister, co-hosting again today.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Oh, keeping busy as always.
Absolutely. All right, so we're live here on WYSL until 1 o'clock. That means that you, the listener, can call in. Give us a call. 866-552-1009. That's 866-552-1009. Or leave your comments online. We're live all over the place today on the Free Solution Facebook page, Free Solution YouTube channel, the Kevin Wilson pages, the Andrew Hollister pages and YouTube channel, all over the place. Yeah, I got that one up too, Andrew. I know you're this guy on YouTube. We got subscribers on there, so hopefully that'll be a nice surprise for the people who are subscribed to that channel. I'm like, I haven't heard from Andrew in a little bit.
Yep. No, absolutely. It's gonna be a lot of fun today.
Yeah, man. Right on. So we got a bunch of stuff to be able to talk about today. We got the city school district stuff, and if you're listening on WYSL, you heard a news break about some of that stuff. If you're listening over on WACK out in Newark. Hello, friends listening out there. Maybe you didn't catch that, but in the city school district, we have this issue where a lot of students might not have a bus to school anymore. And I mean, the surprising part about this is that most people didn't know this was an issue until last week, and it's gotten worse in the last 24 hours.
Yeah. And I would be remiss, Kevin, if I didn't say, well, back in my day, I walked to school.
Yeah,
but my situation was
to school uphill both ways in the snow. Yeah,
in the snow even. Yeah, I did that. My situation was a little different. The school district at the time had a rule. I don't know if it still exists or not. But that rule was if you lived within 1.5 miles of the school, you didn't get bus service. You had to walk. I lived like 1.49 miles away from the school. So I walked all of high school. No, it was fine. It was great. I enjoyed it. I think it gave me additional independence as, a young person, being responsible for my schedule, knowing how long it would take me to get to school, whether it was by foot or by bicycle. Bicycles always got stolen, so usually it was by foot. But, and then if I wanted to do after school stuff, I knew how to structure my day around my own transportation. And occasionally I was fortunate enough that maybe one of my parents wasn't working at the time and I could get a ride on some of those like really, really cold winter days. But, for the most part, I was responsible for my transportation. I know that has very little to do with what's going on here, but, I figure I'd put it out there.
No, I mean, it is a good point, right? Like whatever expectations of especially like older high school kids, right? And so there is still that rule, right, where if you live within 1.5 miles of the schools, then they usually wanted you to walk, but they were providing some transportation for some of those students, as I understood, but then they had to kind of go back on that because of the driver shortage. And so now they're saying, all right, school starts tomorrow, by the way, so if you thought you're going to get a ride within 1.5 miles, well, tough luck now for some of those students. And you'll have to look up, if you have a child in the district, you'll have to look up if you're affected by that. And the other challenging thing about this too is that like a lot of students don't go to a school that's like right next to them too. Mm-hmm. Like they don't send you to your neighborhood school. They'll mix you up, right? So it's like, oh, you may end up in the school all the way across the city because that's just how things fell.
Yeah, I see an opportunity here, Kevin. I see an opportunity for maybe a little less government. If we had neighborhood schools and kids going to neighborhood schools, maybe we'd need less bus transportation. Now, I know that's the way the schools are set up currently. Some schools have specialized programs. So if you wanted your student in a specialized program, that wouldn't exactly work. but maybe this is a good time for that discussion to pop up again.
It would, because maybe a lot of students probably can and should walk to school, but a lot of folks are going to push back and be like, well, it's dangerous, or what about cold weather and whatnot? I mean, I feel like a lot of districts that, especially if they have a population living close to the school itself, like where I went to high school in Oriskany, New York, it's in the middle of a village. So basically everyone in the middle of the village, unless it was like below like 20 degrees or something, they had to walk. But if it was warmer than that, or if it was colder than that, they would get bus. And so you could do similar things, right? And that kind of solves the immediate problem, which is what I think they're trying to do. But again, since so many people are going to schools across the city, sometimes for a specific program, but not always. Sometimes it's just a lottery. And that's, something that I'm preference. Considering when in a few years when I have my kid going to the city school district, maybe, or probably doing like a homeschool thing. I'm leaning more towards that. I'm like, man, there's literally a school in my backyard, but I don't want to like lose the lottery and have to drive my kid halfway across the city when there's literally a school in my backyard. I could see it from my house. Yep. Just such a bizarre system.
Yeah, no, totally. So one thing we should probably bring up as we're talking about this, the idea of neighborhood schools that could reduce busing, which could reduce the size of government, theoretically someday maybe, but probably never reduce our tax bill. But why are these bus drivers resigning? What's going on? Is this an issue that was always here and finally people are like, nope, I'm not doing it? Or is it like an unemployment thing where the benefits are better on unemployment than at the district? What's going on?
Yeah. So as I understand it, there's a couple different things going on here. Right. And so like one is that like the city kind of shifted some of the resources. They were using RTS a little bit more in the past, and they were starting to move away from that. And they were going to move towards not necessarily managing it themselves, but contracting out with a bunch of other transportation agencies to get people in, right? So they had like First Student on there, Monroe Transportation, Ontario Bus Services. So like 9 more drivers resigned the other day. The best I could find is on like why people are leaving is basically they're like, well, it's been a tough year. They're worried about people getting sick. I'll quote from like one of the local from a transportation union person in New York City, because this isn't a problem specific to Rochester. It's a problem everywhere. But he says there's a shortage of drivers and people are leaving not only because of the grueling year of illness, but the loss of work, the loss of medical benefits. So at some of these private organizations, maybe the benefits changed, maybe the pay rate either didn't change, or people just weren't interested in doing that work anymore because they were out of work for a while. Maybe they went and got retrained. They're having the same employment issues that everyone else is having.
Yeah,
now
that makes sense.
Yeah, so like it's not necessarily surprising. The frustrating part about this is that the school board in Rochester didn't act on this until last week. Last week, suddenly parents are told, "Oh yeah, we're going to go all remote now because we have no way of getting all your kids to school."
Yeah, and that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you're a working parent and you expect like your child to be in care, like my kid's sick this week, and I gotta tell you, like having to get home is like, it makes it much more difficult to do my job, and he can't even run around.
Yeah.
So or yell at me or ask for things. And well, he does yell
Kevin.
at me,
he will
soon, very soon. So yeah, if you're playing, like whether you're work from home or you have to be at work and you have a young elementary school kid, or the district has to prioritize kids with special needs too. They have to give them transportation. Again, I have family members who are in that situation, and what are they to do? And another year of being remote is, or even another few months of being remote is untenable for a lot of these families. And I know I can't help but think, like, why would I want to be sending my kid to a school in this district that couldn't solve this problem with some notice? That I think there still needs to be some hard questions asked about, well, why wasn't this fixed in like July? Why wasn't this fixed months ago? I know sometimes things change. 9 more drivers resign, but my goodness, you got to have some contingencies in place, and they're scrambling to get stuff together. And a lot of families are going to be left wondering, like, well, how does this apply to me? Did my situation change in the last 24 hours? They're having another emergency meeting today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And this is something that I kind of wonder too. So do you know, is RTS having a shortage as well? Or is it just strictly like the big yellow bus companies?
I don't know. Actually, I don't know the answer to that question. But I know like the district is working with RTS. They're getting like 3,500 more students than they were originally contracted to do. RTS kind of came in and did that. So it's going to be, so more students are going to be like on the buses, which is going to impact them. I mean, which again, if you already have a public transit system, you might as well kind of use it if you have it.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, why aren't we just using public transit?
Yeah, which I think is a lot easier if you're, a high school student and you can navigate that system independently, that, already kind of that network there exists. It's a bit more difficult if you're, an elementary school student. Like, not that they couldn't do that, but I think that there's different expectations for younger kids.
Responsibility, independence, those sort of things.
All right. So thanks again for listening here on A Free Solution. Kevin Wilson and Andrew Hollister in today. If you want to participate in the discussion, give us a call, 866-552-1009. That's 866-552-1009. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
The Finger Lakes Castle team is in its 7th decade of factory direct service to the service professional. From cleaning the ins and outs of your vehicle to keeping you on the road, Castle's got you covered. Castle makes streak-proof glass cleaner, FDA-registered sanitizers, and EPA-registered hospital-grade disinfectants. Remember, when you need to keep it clean, use what the pros use. Castle. Accept no substitutes.
Castle keeps it clean.
A message from the National Police Association. It used to be that any able-bodied person would offer to assist a police officer in danger. Now, passers-by are more likely to take a video. There's a better use for your phone when an officer's in trouble. Call 911. Tell the operator where you are and what you see. Then, start your video to provide evidence later. To learn more about how you can assist law enforcement, visit nationalpolice.org. That's nationalpolice.org.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A free solution.
Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, host for today, joined by Andrew Hollister, co-host today. We're live here on WYSL, so give us a call or leave your comments. Give us a call, 866-552-1009. That's 866-552-1009. Just a comment from Tim O'Connor saying, people fleeing New York, perhaps. On the bus driver thing. That could be it. I have no idea. I don't know. I haven't talked to the bus drivers who've quit, but Maybe just found a better opportunity. Maybe in a warmer state. I don't know.
Yeah.
The only reason I could think of leaving New York is you just want to be in a warmer state. No other reason.
Yeah, couldn't be the cold political climate or the taxes.
Not at all. All right. So we're going to shift topics a little bit. We're going to talk about something we had talked about. I had talked about on a previous show, which was Apple's proposal to scan all of your photos to make sure that you aren't doing anything illegal on there. They're scan it specifically for porn. So Andrew, I want to hear your thoughts on this because there's been some news related to that this week.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's it. It's so funny because this is coming from a private company, a technology company. Normally, a proposal like this we would see come from government, where you'd have some politician propose something that sounds generally good and positive and for people's safety, and people go, oh yeah, we should do that, it's for the children. Apple decided that they were going to have their own it's for the children, which is a little bizarre. And I could see how a lot of people would hear that and think, oh, this is a good idea. This is a terrible idea. It's an awful idea. You should not ever want anybody to have access to your phone, your files, and then rely on an algorithm to decide whether or not you're doing something illegal. There's just so many security issues with this, so many privacy concerns. And I know somebody is probably listening and thinking, well, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to worry about. No, you absolutely have so much to worry about. Even if you have nothing to hide, you don't know what's going to be scanned and flagged as something that's not. You don't know what's going to be scanned and saved for later. And people put their entire lives on their cell phones. I mean, we're talking your tax returns. We're talking family photos. We're talking bank financials, and statements. So imagine you have a small security incident where somebody gains access to this information, and now millions of people have their tax information out there, and like any number of things. It's such a bad, terrible idea and a huge security risk.
Right. And part of the reason why too, and you can speak to this much better than me, is like, if you create a system that allows for this type of thing, if you make a system that has a back door, that's what opens up the vulnerability. So like you have to create a system that's secure, that's fully encrypted, that is not able to be accessed by a third party on its own, because as soon as you give that ability to access it, that means that someone's going to find a way in.
Oh, for sure. And that's just it. Is they're talking about scanning the pictures on your phone to what they're saying is look for child pornography. So a picture that you take with your phone will now be given to some third party, somebody who's not you, to, theoretically just digitally, probably with AI, analyze and check against known child pornography to see if it's there. And this is one of those situations where the population as a whole, the mass majority of people, is going to say, child pornography is not good. We shouldn't engage in this. And yeah, that's a bad thing. Do this, Apple. But what happens when it changes to, I don't know, firearms, or, whatever the state deems illegal tomorrow? Big gulp soda drinks. I don't know. Plastic
Anyone
straws.
Who is in a photo with a big gulp will have the police called on them. We're going to SWAT your house.
Yep. You go into California, you snap a selfie, you've got a plastic straw, now you're in prison. I mean, that's obviously, we're joking a little bit, but this is a serious thing. And the idea that somebody else is going to have access to some of the most private parts of your life, I think, is extremely concerning to the vast majority of America, which is why they got so much pushback on this. And Apple said, oh, okay, we thought people were going to be on board with this. We thought saying child pornography would do it. Clearly, people still value their privacy, maybe a little bit more now than they did even a couple of years ago when people were like, yeah, Facebook can have my everything. Now people are kind of reeling it in and saying, maybe I don't like the idea of you having my everything. It's not that I have something to hide, but I still want a private life.
Yeah. And we have a comment from Jericho who says they'd probably use that technology in Australia to arrest people for violating lockdowns. I mean, yeah, maybe. And like that's exactly the point, right? Like if you're able to teach, some artificial intelligence to be able to identify one thing, you could teach it a whole bunch of other things. And then the government is going to they're going to want to use this. It's inevitable, right? They're like, well, why wouldn't we be going after these things? We could be going after dangerous terrorists or people who are spreading sickness all around. Like I mean, I don't know if you followed the Australia stuff. I had to look really closely to figure out like what was actually real and fake. But there's a bunch of bizarre stuff going on down there.
Yeah. And that's just it. So it starts with something like this, something that the vast majority of people will agree on, child pornography. But then government gets involved, and don't forget about private interests here too. So we're talking about government overreach, but don't forget Apple's out there to make money, and everybody's competing to sell your data, to sell your information. So it starts with child pornography, then it goes to analyzing the things and objects that you have in your home, trying to figure out what you've purchased, what you're going to purchase. And then they start selling this data off to advertisers to try to hone in and make sure that you're buying the products they want. And when this sort of stuff comes about, your personal images, your personal data, your personal life becomes a product that a company like Apple or Google sells. They make billions of dollars off of it. And instead of being compensated, like at least if somebody was selling your data, if you got cashed out on it, maybe you got some of that money back. Maybe people would be more okay with it. But instead, people are becoming an unwilling product of these companies, and their private information is being sold. So I think that's another major issue here is you could become an Apple product and you don't really have any say in the matter. In fact, you're going to pay $1,200 to become an Apple product, and Apple's going to make just a ton of money and then someday have a data leak and your life is just going to be really difficult. Yeah.
I mean, so I work in the advertising space. So like part of me is like, I bet I can sell some good stuff with that. But
absolutely. Yeah.
But on the other hand, I actually agree with like your proposal. Like you should be able to opt into getting paid for your data, right? Like I might say, I don't care if they have it, but if they're going to take my data, then I want whatever price I think that's worth. $20, $50 a month, $100 a month, whatever, pay me for it, because you're going to sell that and make a 10, 50 times ROI on selling that data to advertisers like me. You might as well get a piece of that action.
Yeah. And it's interesting because if you could set your value of your worth, people would be willing to pay it. Think about somebody who says, you know what, you can have all my data, $20. That becomes a tier that advertising companies will advertise to. But somebody who is like, I don't want anybody to have my data, but if they're willing to give me $1,000 a year, fine, they can have it. You'd actually have a market with multiple tiers of advertising, and people would pay it. They'd say, yeah, we want it from the $1,000 a year tier people because we know they're not getting as many ads. And they've got at least $1,000 in their pocket to buy our product, and that alone would become, a market where some people are like, $20 is good. Other people like 1,000. Other people are 10,000. And you'll then have these lists that people could buy based on the tier of customer that they're going to advertise on, just based on what their data costs.
Yeah. People choosing to opt in and probably choosing what types of ads they want to see too. Right. You know exactly what you're looking for. That's very valuable to an advertiser who is half the time just guessing, like, I don't know, someone interested in health food. All right, go. Whatever the heck Facebook thinks that means.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks again, folks, for joining us here on A Free Solution. Again, we're live until 1 o'clock. So if you want to give us a call, participate in the discussion, give us a call 866-552-1009. That's 866-552-1009. Or leave your comments online. We'll be back just a few minutes on A Free Solution.
Fly the flag, stand for freedom. AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the latest forecast from the Newstead NBC Weather Center for tonight. Partly cloudy sky, seasonably cool. Will drop down into the 50s out there, but it looks like it'll dry up nicely overnight. For tomorrow, we're going to be looking at generally a nice day, sun and clouds, a bit of a cooler breeze. That might be a little stray shower, but most of the time dry. We'll see temps near 70. Temperatures again around 70, but cool on Friday. I'm Rich Cornelia, WYSL.
Hi, this is Gary Mervis, founder of Camp Good Days. September is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month, and I want to encourage all men, especially those that are 50 and older, to talk to their physician about their prostate health. As men, we don't typically think about our prostate or what it even does until it becomes a problem. Speaking from personal experience, I can tell you that keeping track of your prostate health should be a priority. In order to make sure your prostate is in good shape, your doctor can give a digital exam or order a simple blood test to check your PSA levels. If something is wrong, the best option is to get answers is a biopsy. Prostate cancer is one of the most frequently diagnosed cancer and second leading cause of cancer death in American men. It's very treatable if caught early enough. However, the best form of treatment is being proactive with your doctor. Camp Good Days hosted a number of men's prostate cancer retreats. With the help of Dr. Gene Joseph, chair of the Department of Urology at the University of Rochester, and Louis Eichel, chief of urology at the division in Rochester General Hospital. For more information, call our office at 624-5555 or visit campgooddays.org.
FM Talk. What's with those injury attorney TV ads these days? Seems like they're in a race to see who can put more lawyer faces on the screen. Even with an 80-inch TV, you can't make them out. What's the point? Maybe they're trying to impress with who's biggest, but it ends up looking like an undergrad photo in your school yearbook, or maybe a dating site from hell. Of course, the one attorney that matters to you is the one who's helping you put your life back together after a personal injury or a motorcycle accident, or handling your DWI defense. Christopher Johnson makes you feel like you're his only client, because when you meet with him, your case gets 100% of his attention. Write this number down. Keep it in your car. 415-3803. 415-3803. At this number, instead of getting lost in the crowd, you'll get individual attention, integrity, experience, and expertise. Write it down. 415-3803. Put the power of one on your legal team. Stay safe, be healthy, drive sober. Christopher Johnson, attorney. Personal injury, car or motorcycle accidents, DWI defense.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Springwater Amish Workshop reminds you, just like that, harvest time, fall, and hunting season are upon us. See the great 12-point hunting blind featuring quiet glide windows, full insulation, smart siding exterior, and now on display at the Springwater Amish Workshop store, Route 15 in Springwater. The store has other goodies to decorate your home and lawn for fall. Don't forget, outdoor lawn furniture makes outstanding Christmas gifts for mom and dad, and a great surprise for your wife or husband. We'll store it for you until Christmas. We are your headquarters for storage buildings. They can be delivered to your prepared site all all winter long. Springwater Amish Workshop, 7936 Route 15 in Springwater. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit springwateramishworkshop.com or visit them on Facebook, 585-669-9710.
What does it mean to make it yours at Roberts Wesleyan College? It means participation in high-level athletic competition. It's availability of faculty and sports staff in a personal setting. It's providing broad experiences and the skills and knowledge needed for a winning future. Do you have it? To learn more about Rochester's only NCAA Division II athletics scholarship program, visit robertsredhawks.com. Red Hawk Athletics, make it yours.
A free solution.
Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today, joined by Andrew Hollister, co-hosting with me today. We're live here on WYSL, so give us a call if you want to participate. 866-552-1009. That's 866-552-1009. Or leave your comments online on Free Solution Facebook page, Free Solution YouTube channel, the Kevin Wilson pages, or the Andrew Hollister page or YouTube channel. Any one of those. Leave your comments online. Shout out online to our friends over at WACK out in Newark as well. And our friends listening on the podcast, too. We know a bunch of you listen there. Appreciate y'all being here. All right, so I'm going to shift topics yet again. We're going to talk about what's going on in Texas, the Texas abortion bill, SB 8 down there. And before we get into this, I'm going to say my intention with this isn't so much to talk about abortion and the morality of that. I'm not going to change anyone's minds on that. And I think they're good people in the conservative and libertarian movements who are on both sides of this issue and very passionate about it. I'm not going to try to change your mind on that. That's not today's topic. I could do it another time, just not what I wanted to get into today. What I want to talk about is the actual mechanism of the law itself, which is it's bad. It's not a good way to enforce the law. This is a Pyrrhic victory. And we'll let me explain what it does. Andrew, have you heard of this law? Is this new to you?
I've read about the law, but not the mechanism. So I'm gonna let you lead, and I'll tell you what I think. How's that?
Sounds good. All right. So basically, what the state did is that instead of banning abortion outright, what they said was the state, local municipal governments cannot enforce this law. We are just putting this law in the book that says that if a physician performs a abortion or induces an abortion, if they detect a heartbeat, then that is against the law. And it also says that any person who knowingly engages in conduct that aids or abets such procedures is also against the law. And so, because they're not having the state enforce this, the state is not prohibiting this, but they're allowing private individuals to have the grounds to sue people involved in abortion. The state is trying to get around the Roe v. Wade and was it Casey versus Planned Parenthood? I'm mixing up the cases here, but basically Supreme Court precedent that says that that you have a right to abortion, right? Again, I'm not debating that, but the mechanism that you have here is, well, it's a bit odd. And so people are basically able to sue abortion providers or anyone who aids and abets abortion providers for $10,000 in civil court. And that's their way of banning abortion in Texas. All right, I'll get your thoughts now.
So if I understand it, just to summarize, the law is if they detect a heartbeat, having an abortion is illegal, but there's no way to prosecute them for it. So it's not a criminal matter. It's more of a civil matter. And a person involved or totally not involved can sue the doctor over it. Is that?
Yeah, the doctor or anyone who aids and abets it. And actually, I'm going to read a comment that is kind of relevant to part of what you seem to be getting at. It says, yeah, we are still talking about the abortion. It says, this is from Brian Sutton. He says, but since it's being done as a civil issue and anyone can file, what about the legal issue of standing? Courts have long held that you must have standing before you can file or join a civil lawsuit. That is, you can't have money from Monsanto, or damages due to Roundup if you never use Roundup, right? Like, so you have to have proof that you were injured in some way by this in order to bring a civil suit. That's how it usually goes. But in this case, it seems like they are making it so that like anyone can claim injury having been in the same state as someone who performed an abortion, and you can go after them and then, get a $10,000, settlement from that. And so that seems like it's a rabbit hole that is extremely dangerous to go down. I mean, the surprising part about this is that in a 5-4 decision, the court didn't stay this law. They didn't say that they had to put a pause on it until they could look at it further. So it's gone into effect, sort of.
Yeah, and I've seen some other basically almost like sanctions from other states saying that if they have contracts from companies they're headquartered in Texas, that they're not going to do business with them anymore, which is also kind of weird because you're telling a private company that because your government did something, now you're going to be in trouble for it. Yeah. So there's kind of a lot of interesting stuff going on here, but I think that going back to the issue of having being impacted by this and just allowing anybody to file a lawsuit, whether you agree or not, is a little irrelevant. I think that's just a terrible policy.
Yeah, no, for sure. And here's where it gets interesting, because again, this is a way to get around. This is a way to get around the current constitutionality of the abortion issue, right? Is so like, all right, we're not going to have the state enforce it. We're going to have private individuals litigate this. Okay. What's to stop New York or California from doing the same thing on guns? Like, oh, no, we're not banning all rifles. No, not at all. But we did make this law that says you can sue someone if you see them holding a rifle.
Yep. Or if you didn't see them hold the rifle, it's just somebody told you.
Right. Yeah. And then
maybe you saw it in a Facebook picture, something. Somebody said, oh, so-and-so had a rifle.
Yeah, right. And they say do that. And then it's enough that like you have to go through the process of hiring a lawyer and get like, even if like the case actually went nowhere, like you could end up incurring a bunch of legal fees because someone accuses you of owning a gun, which is a constitutionally protected right.
Yep.
And so this is what I worry about with this bill. It's not, again, I'm not getting into the issue of abortion itself, but like the way in which we do this matters. The way in which we structure law matters. And hopefully the Supreme Court ends up revisiting this case specifically because it's, they didn't say it was like legal and fine. They didn't say it was illegal. They said like, well, we're not going to strike it down immediately right now, right? Because I can see how this has all sorts of other implications, right? Not just Second Amendment, but also people could do hate speech laws, same thing. But we're not going to, the state isn't going to punish you for hate speech, but we're going to put this law in the books that says if you are a victim of hate speech, then you can sue someone and collect a reward from that, $10,000, $20,000, whatever it is. And so
this is a big black hole issue. Basically, it's a bad loophole that I hope gets shut down immediately because the implications are extremely dangerous for freedom in our country.
Yeah, I know. I hate to see what happens if this is able to continue on. And I'll get to another comment from Brian. Says, the person driving the female to abortion could be sued for aiding and abetting the abortion. This does have some like free speech issues too. There's some idea that the like people who are, handing out pro-abortion literature could then be sued for this too. Again, regardless of your stance, I don't want any individual being sued for advocating for a position because we have free speech in this country. And even if you find that speech ugly and abhorrent, we shouldn't be punishing that, we're setting up the courts to punish that. And one more comment from Jericho has some serious implications on medical confidentiality. Also, yeah, that's that's why the site that was originally going to be like kind of a place for people to report this information ended up getting pulled down by both GoDaddy and Epic because people were sharing private medical information about other individuals into their site, and that violated their terms of service.
Yep.
So they're like, oh yeah, we saw this person go to this doctor appointment here, and here's their contact information. And yeah, these hosting companies like, no, you definitely cannot do that here.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Anything else to wrap up this issue?
It's interesting because there's obviously like not just medical implications, but also the political side of things too. So I don't know if you saw, but apparently Uber and Lyft both said that they were going to like help people with their legal fees, I think.
Yeah.
If they drove people to like another state for an abortion.
Right. Yeah, because they could be
things
sued
like that
too. If someone takes an Uber and drives across state lines, technically you could do that. And Uber and Lyft, like, nope. We're not holding our drivers responsible for that. They're not. Yeah. They're not going to get sued for that, or they're going to get defended in court. So there's going to be just a boatload of lawsuits out there. I think the conservatives down in Texas made a mistake on this one. This opens up a can of worms that can't be put back if it's allowed to go through. And hopefully, if the Supreme Court has any respect for the rule of law at all, who knows? We'll see. They will say, no. This is not the way we do things. If you're going to make a law, make a law. Don't have this runaway private litigation thing going on, because it used to be a big issue for conservatives is like tort reform type of stuff. All right. So thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. Appreciate y'all being here. We got one more segment after this. If you want to participate in the discussion, give us a call, 866-552-1009. It's 866-552-1009, or comment online. We'll be back with more on A Free Solution in just a few minutes.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Hi, my name is Ryan Bourne.
And I'm Danica Bourne.
And we're the owners of South Coast Tax. We would like to thank our Lord for protecting us from evil. Psalm 91 states, He is my refuge and my fortress, for He will rescue us from every trap and protect us from deadly disease.
South Coast Tax are Christian-based tax accountants and attorneys who specialize in releasing bank levies, wage garnishments, and filing complex tax returns. We are the leaders in acceptance of offers and compromise with awesome results.
We are also a small firm who will treat you like family and not just a number.
Call us today at 1-800-TAX-1176 for a free consultation, and we'll take the time to explain all of the programs that you qualify for in order to allow you a fresh start.
In John 8:36, so if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. And one way we can achieve that is by being debt-free. So let us help you today. Call us at 1-800-TAX-1176, and together we can help achieve this goal by putting the IRS tax debt behind you for good. Again, that number is 1-800-TAX-1176.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovation should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A free solution.
Welcome back to A Free Solution. It's not Fake News Friday, but the last segment here, we are talking about some fake news just because I find it interesting. And it kind of went viral last week. I saw a whole bunch of people sharing this story saying that rural hospitals were overwhelmed with ivermectin overdoses. In fact, there's a Rolling Stone article that talked about an Oklahoma hospital that couldn't treat gunshot victims because there's so many overdoses of ivermectin, and they had a picture of people waiting outside.
Wearing jackets
in Oklahoma in August. So that should have been your first sign that maybe they didn't actually research all that well what's going on, because it is, I promise you, fairly warm in Oklahoma right now.
How warm is it, Kevin?
I don't know the exact temperature, but it's warm. It's warmer
not
than
jacket
it is in
weather.
Not jacket weather.
Not jacket weather.
No. I don't know. Maybe Oklahoma's different, but I'm pretty sure it's not jacket weather.
Yeah. So I thought it was hilarious that CNN, of all outlets, called this out, fact-checked it, everything, and blamed, in their terms, the liberals for this one, which I guess I didn't expect that from CNN.
I just keep thinking of that Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man meme. That's what's going on here.
Yeah, it was so funny. I want to see if I can find the exact term that they used, but it was something like liberal tweeters or something like that.
Tweeters. That's what it is. Like, it just went. It had some truthiness to it. Like, people know, like, oh, like these Maroons are taking ivermectin, and they must be overwhelmed in the hospital, hurting themselves now. Now, let me clarify something here. This does happen. Like, sometimes people do take too much of this stuff and end up in the hospital, but it's still pretty rare. And so that's one part of the story is even the doctor that they quoted, who doesn't actually work at the hospital and hadn't for a couple months, which is what everyone pointed out. Like, the hospital's like, hey, this guy doesn't work for us, and we're not overwhelmed with these types of poisonings. So it does happen.
They also said that doctor has never, during his tenure, treated a patient for that issue.
Yeah.
So it's
why are you quoting this guy? Did you Google him first? My goodness.
No.
So
I did. Oh, go ahead. I did find it here. So this is CNN. They start off by saying this was a poor piece of journalism, inadequate in its reporting, inaccurate in its depiction of what was happening. Then they go further to say that it was aggregated by big media outlets and amplified on social media by liberals eager to demonstrate that right-wingers had gone off the deep end and their growing fondness for ivermectin. And then later in their article, they have this giant bullet point about liberal tweeters jumping on the issue. So of all places, CNN, I think, probably roasted them better than you would see from, I don't know, like Fox or something.
Good for them.
No.
CNN's got to have this win. Like, oh, it wasn't us this time. Thank goodness. Time for us to have the moral high ground on this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe chill on your high horse there, CNN. But no, it is like a phenomenon, right? Like, this isn't exclusive to the left. Like, people do this. Actually, on the pro ivermectin side, people do this too. People like, oh, look, I found this one random study. I'm like, that study was of 10 people, and it doesn't prove what you think it is. But the left is like, oh, this fits our narrative of who these people are and what they're doing. So we're just going to share it all over because this feels true to us. This feels like it's part of the narrative that we've been spreading. And look, now we can confirm it. Nope. Y'all look like morons. It's so it's sad. And then I Not that I haven't gotten caught up in some of this stuff before, but like you gotta like just read a little bit, read with it just tiny smidge of skepticism when you go into some of this stuff, because yeah, you could end up looking a bit foolish.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, you can find anything that supports how you feel on the internet at this point. If you search and you ask a question on the internet, you're going to find what looks like an authentic source that supports exactly how you feel. And I think what happens is, for some people, they get so excited that somebody agrees with them and that they're right, and they don't look any further. And it's just a really good idea. Take a step back, take a breath, just double check, make sure it's not freedom.eagle or, some source that isn't well validated. Unfortunately, in this case, I think it was actually a fairly valid source in terms of a media source. It wasn't even like a fake media company. It was a legit TV station.
Yeah, Rolling Stone was like one of the big ones, and then like some of the local TV stations kind of ran with it too. So it's all over. It's like, real news, right? Like it wasn't some random like Occupy Democrat meme that went like viral or something. Like these are supposedly serious journalistic outfits, like making clowns of themselves by like reporting a story that had no basis in fact.
Yeah, and the thing I would throw out there, look for those red flags. People wearing jackets in Oklahoma in August. I had a conversation with a family member just yesterday about something that seemed pretty fake, and I was told, no, like there's a video. I watched this whole thing, everything. These kids were very upset in school. And I was like, well, and supposedly it was a local issue. I was like, well, school hasn't started yet.
Yeah.
So the timing's at least off, and maybe the context is off. And most of the schools have been remote a lot. So if you're seeing, this video that's supposedly current and accurate and portraying this current thing, you might want to question why there's kids in school in this video.
Right. Yeah. Where did it come from? Where was it actually, shot? And what's the other context for this video? And yeah, you can see that with all sorts of news stories. Like just like look out for some of the stuff like experts say type of thing, or like I hate when, because again, this is both sides do this, all the sides do this. There's experts say like the Delta variant, blah, 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 okay, like, well, like quote me a specific expert and I want to be able to Google this person and are they, legit? Are they currently employed? Are they a grifter trying to push, some alternative medicine on me that like is actually just like rainwater? I don't know. It's there's all sorts of things that you can, if you take a few seconds to look past the initial headline, to look past what's going on, and don't just immediately retweet it too. Again, I saw that and like I'm initially like, huh, wow, that's wild. And then like I could have retweeted that as like news. And
yeah,
this one I didn't. I've been fooled by a bunch of other stupid stuff before too, but this one I happen to not spread misinformation on. So
yeah,
score one for Kevin.
Yep. Yeah, and that's another thing they brought up is how influencers with a lot of followers retweeted it, reshared it out, and people, just because they trust that influencer or that person that they're following who has a large following, nobody questioned it. They're like, oh, so-and-so posted this. Must be true. I'm going to post it too.
They wouldn't post fake stuff. They're pretty good. Like they research their stuff. So this must be true. I could just retweet it without reading it too. And just share it on Facebook. And that's how that stuff spreads. All right. So we're about out of time. Any last thoughts on this issue?
Look for fake news, guys. It's still out there. It's still out there. Don't trust everything you see on the internet or your television or your smartphone. Definitely not everything that people around you say. Question everything. Make sure what's right is right. That's basically it.
Good way to end it. All right. Thanks for joining us again, Andrew. And we'll be back with more from A Free Solution tomorrow. And I'll be back on Friday. Talk to you then.
What's the most critical component of every business? It's people.